wish you'd understand. I just wish that God had a better plan. I'm so confused. I need a redo. Inside of me that's begging and begging and pleading. I just wanna feel free. I just wanna feel lovely. I'm surrounded by love that's in pain. Can I wipe your tears away? Please don't hurt for me. I hate that it's for me. It's for me.
Hi, welcome to the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. Thank you to Amber K for that amazing introduction into the show. Amber K is warrior number 2. She is a singer-songwriter that wrote I Hate That It's For Me. Please check out her episode. Me and Amber have teamed up just to try to help people understand what it's like living with a chronic disease and how you have to keep on fighting the fight every day. My name is Brian. I am the MS Michigan Man 64. Before I got diagnosed 28 years ago, I was playing football at the University of Michigan, and I went from living that lifestyle to 4 years after that being diagnosed with MS, and I talk about my journey as well as the journey of other chronic disease warriors around the world just to try to help people understand what it's like, how it affects your mental health, how it affects your family, how it affects your career. Today, I am sitting down with an MSer that I met online a few weeks ago. Sunshine is from the Bay Area out in California, and she was diagnosed with her MS 31 years ago. She's got a couple years on me. In 1995, I was diagnosed in 1997. She's only 51 years old, and I invited her on just to share her journey with her MS to try to help people understand how you need to just keep on fighting the fight with this disease. Please welcome to the podcast, Sunshine. How you doing today, Sunshine?
Hi, thank you very much for having me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for joining me, Sunshine. Like I said, I think the easiest way to understand this disease, understand the fight, understand the mental health part of it, is just to listen to people that have dealt with this disease for a long time, like you and myself. And I just think the two of us together having this conversation is going to help a lot of people. And I just really appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you. And I hope so. I hope that we give someone, at least one person can hear this and have hope.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Sunshine, you got your diagnosis in 95. And you're only 20 years old at the time. I'm 27 and I know what was going on in my life. What was going on in your life at 20 years old and you're getting told that you have MS?
Well, it happened to be my birthday weekend, and my friends throw me a party every year on my birthday. So my flyers were already out, and I had like a head cold, and then all of a sudden I woke up one day and it was completely my right eye was completely blind, so I couldn't see, like completely black, no vision. So I drove myself to ER with one eye, and they did a spinal tap. My mom came. My parents were more aware of what it was that they were talking about because I was just like, whatever, you're 20, you don't really take things seriously. Your brain isn't really formed yet.
Right.
So, I'm more concerned that it's my birthday weekend and this is messing up my party.
Yeah.
So, I was admitted, and I was admitted for 5 days. And by the 4th day, my vision came back. And then they told me at that time that it wasn't considered multiple sclerosis because you have to have at least 2 attacks before you're considered multiple.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, they said, you have like a 50% chance of never going any farther past this, but we'll see. And I was just like, whatever, let me leave the hospital. Okay, whatever.
And
So my parents were freaking out because I had an uncle that had passed away of MS. But you know, I was babysat the house that he lived in, and I had family that were taking care of him my whole young kid life. But
yeah,
no one ever said like multiple sclerosis. So I, never correlated those two things
right,
to being anything that was my journey, right?
right,
So the next year on my birthday, turning 21, there I go again, optic neuritis flare up, and my party gets canceled again, and I'm in the hospital. And those were the good old days when they had the metal pole and you could walk around. You weren't like stuck in your room with the machine, right?
right, right,
So I had my aunt bring me my birthday outfit, and I had like friends coming all week long. It was my birthday, so I was like dressed in a little black dress and high heels underneath the hospital blanket, and everyone come in. It's my birthday. I'm 21. Yay! I'm in the hospital, but it was it was just didn't take it seriously. Let's just put it that way. It
yeah,
was just I just didn't. I just refused to like I completely like blocked it out of my mind,
right,
the severity of what it was,
yeah,
because I just wasn't gonna accept such a thing. Like no. And so every year after that I would have an attack. But once I started working, uh I got out of college. I started working in software sales. Those were the days where, pre-existing conditions existed, where you had to declare that when you're going to apply for a job. So
right,
I was not on any DMTs. There wasn't really anything out until Abonex came out, but I actually was a person that didn't even like to talk about MS or go around other people that had MS, because I used to actually say I didn't want anyone's MS to get on me,
So
which sounds like,
here's an interesting comparison to your journey. You're 21 years old and you're thinking like that. Back when before I got diagnosed in 1997, Sunshine, and back in 1993, right after I got done playing at Michigan in 1992, 1993, a year after that, I got in a car accident and my head went through a windshield. And I went to the ER.
oh,
I got taken, they took me by ambulance to the ER, and they ran an MRI. And I had the doctors come in, and they told me that your head's okay from the car accident, but you might want to follow up with a neuro. There are signs of MS. And I'm sitting there at 23 years old at the time. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm okay, doc. You said my head's good. I'm good. I don't even know what MS is. And I'm just going to keep on
right.
moving. And I ignored it back in 1993. But that was the first time that I ever heard the word MS. And then 5 years after that, or 4 years after that, 97, I actually go through a real episode like you, the optic neuritis, and my vision's affected. And they ran the MRI
Mhm.
again. And that's when they actually said, hey, you got MS.
So they let you sit there for 5 years of just like telling you that, and then
I mean,
feel like official.
you can say that they let me sit there, but I didn't pursue it. I mean, the doctor at the ER told me, hey, you might want to follow up with
Oh,
neuro, but I never did.
yeah,
I just ignored it because I felt normal. I mean, there was nothing wrong with me. I
yeah,
wasn't tripping.
right.
I just got done playing in the Rose Bowl. So I'm like, screw you, doc.
It's the
I'm fine.
beauty. Yeah, the beauty of relapse remitting, right?
Yeah,
So if it's not there, if you don't see it, you don't have to think about it. Why would you think about it?
right. So you're just plugging
You know?
along and you don't even have an official diagnosis yet, but you're still going through. And how did they actually sit there and tell you, hey, this is MS now?
Well, the second year, I had gone back, and this doctor, he told me that I need to get my affairs in order, because I will probably only be alive for another 5 years. And at that time, I was a teenage mother. So I had my son at 17. And so by that time, I had a 4-year-old, and he's telling me I have 5 years to live. I won't live until my son is going to graduate high school. I need to really get a grasp on that because that's what this disease does. And I stood up, cussed at the guy, switched everything off his desk, said, "How long are you going to live?" Walked out, like screamed. Then I got to my car and I just remember sitting there like laughing because I threw a fit. At least it made me feel better.
Yeah.
But then I sat there like, what now? Like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't even get it because I blocked out everything he said. Now I'm like, oh crap. Well, I
Sunshine,
don't know.
Sunshine, I can't even believe a doctor would tell you that. I mean, you're getting
Yeah,
you're getting diagnosed in 95. I'm getting diagnosed in 97, 2 years later. And my doctor he didn't even come close to saying anything like that. He was like, I asked him, I'm like, okay, doc, I got MS. What's going on? I mean, am I going to be in a wheelchair? What? And he's like, no, Brian, he goes, you don't know what's going to happen. He goes, keep doing what you're doing. You're in good shape. You take care of yourself. You keep, you get exercise. He goes, don't let the fact that you're getting diagnosed stop you. You know, you got to keep on going. It's just amazing the difference in some doctors. You got a doctor telling you that you got to get your affairs in order. It's just mind boggling that I hear
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not the only doctor that's told me that. I've been told by a plethora of doctors that I only have, I've been told 2 to 5 years to live, stay alive.
Yeah.
And I've been like, F you. Oh, say some more cuss words, leave here, walk out, and like the dramatic, like slow walk off, depending on, if you're having a symptom, if you're having a flare up. Like one time I had a doctor, I had gone to see this doctor for the very first time meeting me. I'd brought my MRIs. I go into the appointment and I was having one of those attacks on the bottom of your feet where they're sensitive and you
Yep.
can barely touch your feet to the ground. So I was using arm crutches.
Mm-hmm.
And I had gone into the appointment, and it's probably one of the most impactful things that ever happened to me in my disease. So I'm sitting there, and the doctor turns to me and he says, "I don't think that I don't think that you have this." And I'm like, for a split second, I like am thinking that he means my
Yeah.
MS. So I
Yeah.
said, did you see my MRIs? Do I not have multiple sclerosis? And then he looks me dead in my face and says, "No, you have multiple sclerosis. I think you're faking your symptoms."
Well,
And
what?
it was like,
Faking your
eh,
symptoms. What?
I, I could barely walk into this place. Okay. And of course, that was another cuss out section, flipped out. And then as I'm walking out, I'm like taking two little steps at a time because I could barely even put my feet in my shoes.
Yeah.
And I have to walk all the way across this whole campus just to get back to my car. So it was a big atrium and my voice was echoing. And I just love an echo just in general. I love to hear my voice echo, but especially if I'm mad, it was like echoing. And then security guard walks up towards me and point at him with my cane. "Don't even." And the guy's like, puts his hands up. I'm not. Thank you. So I'm like walking out and then I get to the car. Of course, I have to stop and bust up laughing at myself. Like, what are you doing? And I called my mom, like, "Mommy, you know what this guy just said to me? Like, I thought I thought he was going to tell me I didn't have MS for a second. You know how cruel that was? That was like the most cruel 2.5 seconds that I've ever experienced in my life, like beyond telling me I'm going to die.
Right.
It was the idea that I might not have MS
Yeah.
was
I,
way, way crueler
I couldn't,
than
even,
any other thing.
I couldn't even imagine a doctor telling me that, Sunshine. So let me ask you this. You're 20 years, you're going through your 20s, just trying to figure this disease out. How did you actually, like, how did it affect your mental health? And how did you, like, learn, like, just start to learn how this thing was going to be with you for the rest of your life? and how you had to manage it. Because I think the mental part of this is so important in the beginning when you first get diagnosed, even especially at a young age. You got to
Yeah.
figure this. How did you go through the mental part of that diagnosis being so young?
Well, being a young mom and just being a young person in general, you're kind of all over the place. Your whole life is all over the place. So I don't know if I can like put MS on any particular thing other than like my age, and I was married, and I mean there was, I was like a real grown up.
Yeah.
I didn't have parents that babysat for me. I was a real grown up,
Right.
and I was just trying to understand that part first,
Yeah.
before I could even understand MS. So MS was like an afterthought because, like I said, in the relapse remitting phase, it's really easy to ignore that
Mhm.
until it shows up. It's like I call it the gremlin. It's like gremlin in there doing something, and then all of a sudden it like pops out. Like, ha ha, I'm still here.
Right. Right.
And then other than that, I could ignore it. So for me, the way that I absorbed it at 20 until 25 was when they told me I was going to have it forever. And then I made it to 25, and then I was going to die in 5 years. When I made it to that age, I was like, haha, flip off all of you doctors. Only God has me, and only God has my number. Whoever it is upstairs that you believe in, it's not a man on this earth that is going to tell me what my number is.
Hmm.
Everyone has a number. You don't know. You could be the healthiest person and be walking through a field, across a field, and a tree could fall off a branch and kill you just like that. You never know.
Yeah.
Like, anything could happen. So, for them to be so, it was like I was in my mind, I was like, this is so dramatic. It's just so dramatic. That's how it seemed like they were so dramatic about everything. And then when I got to 25, I really legitimately thought I didn't have MS. I convinced myself I didn't have MS
Hmm.
because I lived to 25, and that's when they said I was going to die. I said I was going to have it forever. So I figured if I made it to 25, I just didn't have MS anymore.
Yeah, because you had a doctor.
And
You had a doctor telling you that 5 years before that, so you wanted to prove him wrong. I get that, and this is all part of the mental like brain fuck that we go through. With our doctors,
yeah,
with family, with friends. Just trying to make it through to the next day. With our body failing us. I mean, and that's I think that's a big part of the thing that people just don't understand. Like that we're dealing with this every day.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it was definitely there, but I was kind of too busy to even think about it. Honestly, I was a young mom.
Right.
I was just trying to pay rent. I was trying to go to college. I was trying to be a good wife. I was too busy to hear this doomsday prophecy that you guys keep giving me because it's kind of a bummer.
Right. Right.
It's really what it was. It's just a bummer. Like to have to talk to these guys, like you guys never have any good news. You don't know, you're never fixing anything. You just are like, you
Would you?
guys are really
Yeah.
bummers. Like to
Yeah.
come here, they're just a bummer.
It's like
They're not very
I took
friendly.
I
They're
took the
not,
same
you know.
I took the same attitude, Sunshine. I mean, I'm just like, I know this is a negative disease. I see people in wheelchairs. I know, like I would go to infusions and I would see people that were a lot worse than me. And I was like, hey, thank God I'm still upright and mobile. I'm going to take it with, I got MS. It is what it is. I'm going to stay positive and keep on going. And,
Mhm.
but I know that it's a hard thing to mentally get to that point. It's like, cause you got a lot of negative getting thrown at you. Whether it's by
Yeah,
by your doctor or by family or by friends, you're like, oh my God, what are you going to do in 5 years? You're going to be in a wheelchair. When how do you know you're going to be in a wheelchair in 5 years? I mean,
yeah.
I'm,
And no one, I never discussed, I just did not discuss it with anyone
yeah,
at all
I didn't either. I
until
didn't want to.
12 years.
Yeah.
Until I had it for 12 years. And then my feet started going numb at work one day.
Hmm.
And I ignored it. And then it went into my second leg, and then it was going up my thighs. And then I was like, okay, I guess I better call a neurologist.
Yeah.
And I was like, it started on a Monday. So by Wednesday, I needed to go to the doctor. I went during my lunch break. I came back and they told me that I need to start medication right away, and that I'm probably not going to be walking in 2 years.
Wow.
Again, that, it's like, I mean, some really heavy,
Yeah.
ish. And, it's like, if you really let that get into your head, it can mess you up.
Oh, yeah.
And in the middle of that, I'm in the middle of a really intense job. I have kids that are in sports. I'm married. I have to do yard work. Okay, I have a dog. People
Right.
depend on me. Okay, I don't have time for this. It's really what it was. I just didn't have time for this crap. I just didn't.
Yeah.
So it was like I could just push it out of my head to where that's just not part of my story. It's just not my story. It's
Yeah.
just not. And then I started on my first medication after 12 years was Avonex,
Mhm.
and then it got real. That's when it got real.
Yeah. I know the
And it,
I mean, I started on DMTs right off the rip. I know that some people they hold off on them and they get to a certain point. I don't know, for whatever reason back in '97, my doctor told me I had MS. He's like, hey, there's 3 DMTs out, and I actually started Avonex. That was my first DMT. I only made it a month on that drug. I couldn't take the
oh
side
yeah,
effects. It made me sick.
yeah.
I'm like, Doc, I can't do it. And he flipped me over to Copaxone. I did really good on that one. I did that one for 15, 16 years. But
Oh wow.
so now you got your first DMT, Avonex. How did you do on Avonex?
I took Avonex for 3 months. I lost 50 pounds. I was deathly ill. Five days out of 7, I couldn't get out of bed physically. And I was a cheer coach then. So I would have to have some cheerleaders from the high school run my practice during the week.
Yeah.
And then I would show up on the weekends for games and make sure that everybody was together. And then we also had a competitive cheer team. So those events happened on the weekend at different colleges and things like that. So those were the days like right before my shot that I was still able to like dress, put myself together.
Right.
And even though my hair was starting to fall out and stuff, I just cut it shorter, and I have curly hair. So, I just worked it out,
Right.
and, cheer coaches, you always have a visor on. Yeah. But, something, yeah, but you can work it out. Right. As girls, we have tricks. It's just what it is. If you're a girl, you have tricks, you have options. And that was pretty much how it went. But then I started, there'd be a little girl that would come, any little girl would come if they had like the sniffles. Um, by the next day, I would be at the ER having to get antibiotics because I had no immune system, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that gets knocked out when you're on Avonex. You're sick, but then you also have no immune system. So anyone you're around, they have a cold, you're deathly ill immediately.
Yeah.
Like I'd have 103 temperature within 24 hours. Silly things like that,
Right. Right.
So it was just, and that was before, before masks and things. Then like when I started taking different medications, my nail techs used to bring me back masks from Vietnam because they always had, nail techs, they always have masks on. So they'd always bring me all these different patterns. They know sunshine's, I like to dress. So they would bring me all these different styles. So it was like, okay, I'm going to wear the little face mask when I go around little kids because it was like, I was like the field trip mom. So I went on all the field trips, but I always had a mask on in case some little germy little kids around me. I was like, watch out, little germy kid. Like make a
Right.
joke about it.
Right.
And they're little kids. They don't know. They're like, oh, sorry, Miss Owens. I'm like, here, take some hand sanitizer. Get back, get back, get back. No hugs today. Sorry, no hugs today.
Right.
Sorry, love you, no hugs. But, it's like little kids, they're little germ farms.
Right. So,
So I
so
went
how,
from Avonex.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I went from Avonex to Rebif. That's that every other day.
Yep.
And then I went to Copaxone. And then they finally acknowledged that I was allergic to interferon drugs.
Okay.
So they had kept me on those for about 2.5 years until I finally took everything and threw it in the garbage and was like, I'm not taking this anymore because I was getting injection site reactions from
Yeah.
the Copaxone.
Yeah.
So, it's like one of those things where like it was kind of my vanity a little bit also because I was a dance mom that would have to go to nationals every year and you're at the pool and like I look like I'm shooting up. I look like I'm shooting up, like I have
Yeah.
shots all over me. I was like, I look like a drug addict or something. What the heck?
Right.
And
Right.
everyone's around me. Sunshine, that's not what a drug addict looks like. And I'm like, they're like, you're not, you don't have like in your vein, you're not, that's not. And I was like, no, this to me is like, I don't know what a real drug addict looks like. I've never been around one, but I'm just saying they look like people that give themselves a lot of shots,
A
and
lot of
that's what I
people,
look
yeah,
like.
a lot of people get self-conscious with those subcutaneous because it makes bumps under your skin, and I totally get that,
Yes,
Sunshine. So you actually stopped taking DMTs then, right?
I did. So I
Yeah.
stopped that, and then I waited for Tecfidera. I watched that as it was going through clinical trials because I had just been taking, injectables for so long. It just felt like forever.
Yeah.
And then I finally was like, okay, so there's a pill coming out, and now I'm not going to take anything until this pill comes out.
Yeah.
So finally, the pill comes out and I'm taking the pill, and slowly but surely, I start to lose my incontinence and my ability. It was like I would have like a 10-second little tap on my shoulder and like run to the bathroom, or I could hear like a voice, you have to go to the bathroom right now.
Right. Right.
And it was like 10 seconds, 10 seconds, anywhere I'm at, oh no. And then, I'm going to the bathroom on myself. I mean, I've
Yeah.
been in LA and on Highway 5 in the middle of dead stop traffic, 9 o'clock in the morning, put my car in park, got out, and went to the restroom in the middle of the freeway where people were driving by, honking,
Hey,
blowing kisses at me,
gotta do what we gotta do
me
sometimes.
off.
Sometimes you
And
gotta do what we
I'm
gotta
like,
do.
yeah, I'm not going to sit in here and pee in my car because I can't get across 6 lanes of traffic.
Right.
It's 9 o'clock in the morning. What am I going to do? You're welcome. You get to see my butt, LA. You're welcome. What do I say?
Right.
I mean, what can you do? But I kept reporting it to my doctor that I was having this problem, and then I find she had a study published which was talking about how the effects of Tecfidera are giving people incontinence.
Hmm.
So I found it. She was published in the Boston, what is it, the New England Journal of Medicine.
Okay.
And, I'm a researcher. It's all I do is research. And I found that article and I went into her office, threw it on her table, like, hey, excuse me, lady. This is the problem I've been telling you I've had. You've continued to let me keep taking this drug, and I never agreed to be a participant in this thing that you're talking about. You did your own study, but you didn't tell me or ask me if I gave my permission because I would have quit taking this drug if I would have known it was taking me down this road,
Yeah.
right? Because how do you get off that once you're on this? It's like you hear about these side effects that people get, but even if you quit taking the drug, it doesn't mean that side effect is going to go away.
Right.
Like for us, sometimes like they say, like once you get it, you have it forever,
Right.
right? It's like one of those things. Like once it's there, it's there. You're living with it. And so I had lived with that for ever since then. It's been an issue. It's been a problem until I finally am now, within the last year of my life, I finally started like wearing a diaper
Yeah.
because if I'm going outside of 5 miles of my house, like within my city, I know I can stop somewhere because I also take an oxybutynin, which helps the that rushing feeling of having to go,
Right,
right?
right,
So
right.
at least it gives you about a good 10 minutes, at least you could stop somewhere, park, get out, get into a restroom and actually physically go into a restroom versus like pulling over anywhere and pee on the side of the road, and so at least that's the one good thing about oxybutynin that's worked for me personally. I don't know if it's worked for everybody, but for me, it has been one of those godsend things that's like at least it gave me that. But I do,
I try to tell everybody that that I run into that's new in this diagnosis. You can listen to everybody and hear what they're taking and what's good, and you got to use bits and pieces of it because it's your own journey, and it's trial and error. You might try a drug, it might not work for you. It might work great for somebody else, but I mean, your body is going to react however it's going to react. There's no right or wrong choice. I mean, there's a lot of
yeah.
trial and error, I think.
And you and I have had a conversation about that. I was thinking about that this morning before our conversation today. And, I was kind of reflecting on the fact that, they call us this snowflake disease, right? But if you think about the amount of people that are actually involved in clinical trials before they go throw it on all of us, um, it's a very small amount of people,
Right.
right?
Oh yeah.
So it would make sense that it's going to only work for a certain amount of people because they don't have they don't have a huge population of people. That's why once we start taking drugs, they're giving us medications. All of these doctors are in bed with different pharmaceutical companies
Yeah.
because they're continuing to do studies on us. Like as drugs are being released, they're comparing it to like say a Rebif,
Hmm.
or they're comparing it to like a Tysabri,
Right.
or they're comparing it to this. So that means they're collecting our data no matter what.
Right.
We're being cataloged, we're being watched, and we are being analyzed in some capacity. But it takes it takes a certain amount of time for so many people to have taken it so you can actually get a real clear view of how that drug will work, right?
Yep.
So
And
if
that's
you
why
start and if you
I think that's why a lot of doctors try to push you to stay on a med. They're like that. We need this data. We need you to stay on it for a year, even though it makes you feel like shit. I mean, it's like you said. I mean, you got the doctors and you got pharmaceuticals pushing their meds,
Mhm.
it's not. A lot of times, it's.
Well, what's
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say what's interesting is when I first started doing my infusions, I did it at with an oncologist, and that oncologist and I had a conversation about, he said, let's take this all the way back to, when we're in med school and we pick a specialty. I'm an oncologist. I want to get things done. I'm about action. When you're dealing with a neurologist, they have never fixed anything. They've never cured anything. So they tend to be a little bit more studious. They're a little bit more quiet. They're calm. They're not like an oncologist. You meet me, I'm running around. You're not going to see a neurologist doing that. And I was like, okay, right. And he said, so, you have to really take those personalities into account, and you also have to remember that these neurologists, some of them, like they have one drug that they give for every disease, right?
Hmm.
Because they're getting kickbacks from those pharmaceutical companies. And some of them make more money from pharmaceutical company kickbacks than they do from their own salary.
Yeah, I believe it. I
So
believe it. Yeah.
for me, when I see a doctor telling you to stay on a drug that you're feeling like crap, it's not working, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna trust myself.
Yep.
I'm gonna say, like for instance, this last year, I took a drug that made my arms start curling up. My hand is permanently bent. It wasn't like that before.
Hmm.
Um, The doctor tried to encourage me to take a second year. I said no. Then I got a call from the pharmaceutical company. Then I got a call from the pharmacy at my hospital. They were trying to set up a date for shipment.
Oh,
I said, ironically, my doctor and I have already talked about this. Well, you guys are trying to ship it to me. Like he was still pushing, but without calling me, right?
yeah.
And I just thought, like, this is really, there's something that is broken here where,
Oh, yeah.
these doctors are making more money by, pushing drugs on us that they know are only going to work by, what the percentages are. You can go and every single drug will tell you the percentage that you have.
Yeah.
And like for instance, I'm over here in the abyss. There's nothing for me to take. All I can do is wait for these. I can either be involved in a clinical trial, which I'm trying to get into, or these BTK inhibitors. But you figure for us, these BTK inhibitors are only going to work up to between 16 and 19%.
Right.
And I wouldn't take that bet because the other alternative side effect is that it could kill your liver.
Right.
And I know I need a liver to live, and
Yep.
I could live in a wheelchair.
Right. And there's so many other
Sure.
there's so many other side effects that all these DMTs cause. I
Oh,
know a
oh
lady
yeah,
I know a lady
tons.
I know a lady that was diagnosed breast cancer and she had to have a bilateral mastectomy, and she swears it's from the
Mm,
Ocrevus. I mean, all these things have
mm,
so many risks to them, and you got to make good decisions. I think what's even more important than the DMT when you first get that diagnosis is take care of the mental part of it. The mental health, I think, is more important than the DMT, more important than the physical. And take care
yeah,
of the physical part. You got to get exercise. You got MS. You can't sit there and feel sorry for yourself and be just sit there in a pity party. You gotta pick
yeah.
yourself up, dust yourself off, get exercise, whether it is walking or if you can still run. If you can't do any of that, maybe get on a bike, a recumbent bike. But some way you got to keep your
Mhm.
legs moving, because if you don't, they're going to atrophy. Your muscles are going to atrophy and you're going to lose your ability to walk faster.
And that is what's happened to me within, I guess, the last 5 years, because like I had told you before, like I used to be a marathon runner, then I became a half marathon runner, then I did 10Ks, then I did 5Ks,
Right?
then I couldn't run anymore, then I started doing yoga, became a yoga teacher. Then I used to do inversion classes where I'm doing handstands and things like that. And then I learned Kundalini. So it was about breath work for people because I was trying to create like a yoga for people that have multiple sclerosis, which
Mhm.
is, there was in that particular studio that I worked in, they had a bar on the back wall. So for people that, needed to hold the bar for balance, I'd have classes to do that
Yep.
and only do one side. And, so you don't have to do all of these extreme poses. Then I started realizing like there's airplane yoga. I don't have to invent anything. This stuff is already out here. Like even if you can't move, Kundalini is about just breath work and
Yep.
just sitting with yourself and just like you said, it's just keeping your head in the game.
Yep.
And now
I use
I have taken
meditation a
that.
lot too. I
Yeah,
I do meditation
yeah.
a lot, you know?
Yes, yes, that's part of my morning routine. I get up, I spend time with myself, some quiet time, don't answer any calls. Like within, probably the first half hour that I'm awake, I don't look at my phone. I just am with myself. Like, yay.
Yeah.
As soon as I see the sun starting, I wake up, the sun's shining through my window. I'm like, yay, the lights are back on.
Right.
I won. I
Right.
won again. I'm
Yeah.
still here.
Yep.
I don't
Sun
know how I
and
don't know how I still keep waking up every morning. I mean, I don't know.
I
The
say,
amount of drugs that they pumped in me. I
I
mean,
know, right?
I took Lemtrada. I took Lemtrada.
Yeah.
And, that did a lot of bad things to a lot of people. I have friends that have two tumors removed from the bottom of my foot. I have a lesion on the bottom of my foot right now, which is like I'm taking this like I'm using this precancerous cream that I have to put on it because it just keeps growing back. And uh, I I I fell. I don't know if I told you this, but when I had fallen the last couple of times, I've had some face plants within the last 60 days and
Yeah,
gave
you were
myself a
telling me
black
that,
eye.
Sunshine. Yeah, you were telling
And
me that. You know,
I
but
kicked my toenails off, and I was like,
mm,
I'm just kind of proud of myself. I'm like, I'm kind of badass a little bit, you know. I like it's been a long time since I lost a toenail. It's like a bet, you know, like
yeah,
the my son and the cauliflower ear. That's like me and losing toenails. Like,
right.
haha,
Yeah,
hey,
I always make it a game with them, Ish, you know. I mean, it's like if it knocks me
yeah,
down, I've been hurt. I've gotten stitches because of MS. I've fallen. I've broken shit. I'm like, I get pissed at it,
yeah,
and then I just say, you know what? Okay, you got me this time. I'm gonna get you back, and and I figure out a way how to do it. And just it's been a never.
ab-
It's been a 28-year process for me. It's been a 31-year process for you, and we're going to figure it out for 32 years and 20, I'm going to keep going 29, 30, 31. I'm going to get you can't give up. It's going to take this. You got to figure it out. You might if you can't if
it's
you
gonna,
and
yeah,
and sometimes when you get to that point where you have to use mobility aids, you might get embarrassed. I'm like, get over it, man. I've been through that. I was 40 something years old when I started having to use a cane, and I didn't want to do it. And it is what it is. At least I can still have a
yeah.
life when using these mobility aids. I can still have a life.
Yeah, and I actually was hit by a car, and it was after I took Limtrada. I hadn't felt below my belly button in 12 years, and then all of a sudden I gained my mobility to go run again. I did a 5K
Wow.
and a mud run in the same weekend. I got hit by a car. I used to MC the Tri Valley MS walkout here for the National MS Society. And I did that on a Sunday. I got hit by a car on a Wednesday. And then I had to learn how to walk all over. It took me a whole year.
Wow. Wow.
And it was like having that 2 years of like regaining who my full body was. And then it was ripped out from me.
Yeah.
And then it never came back the same.
Right. I know.
And
I get it, Sunshine. Because you get diagnosed with MS and things are still going to happen in life. I've had 4 surgeries after my diagnosis, 4 spine surgeries, and my body never recovered after each one of them. I mean, things are going to happen, but you got to figure out a way to keep on going. Let's talk a little bit about the community that we met in. I know we met on TikTok, and I like that platform. But let's just talk about the importance of finding that community with our diagnosis, just finding that common link of people that understand what we're going through.
absolutely. And like I said, when I first was diagnosed, I did not even tell anyone I had it. I used to not go around. I mean, it sounds embarrassing to even say that out loud now at
I know it, right?
the place that I am, to say I don't want people to get their MS on me. It sounds like such a nasty thing to say,
Right?
out loud. But
Yep.
it's like just didn't know. I didn't know any better. And now here I am, and I'm like, all we have is us. We're the only people that really get us.
Right?
Like when you say like in the middle of a conversation, wait, and everybody's like, oh, it's okay. We'll all forget too. Don't worry. We'll forget that you forgot. Don't
Yep.
worry.
Right?
This is the beauty of us.
Right?
Don't worry. We'll forget. We've all had that. You wake up, this hurts, that hurts. We all know. We all know. I mean, all of it, the whole spectrum. And you can only get that with, it's like, uh, it's like being in any type of activity. Like, it's like even you said you're a high performance athlete. Like, there's only certain things that you and people that are on your team and people that play at that high level of sport are even going to get.
Right?
Like someone that's playing high school football isn't going to understand what it is to play D1 ball. They're not going to get it.
Exactly. Right? Yep.
They're not going to get the commitment. They're not going to get the full, like, you have to be mentally, physically, and mentally, physically, and nutritionally ready to take this on. Like it's not just one thing, it's the full package.
Right.
And that's where I am now, is that I've accepted that. And I ran groups for a long time until I just recently, within the last year, I started like having to accept that I need to like wear a diaper. I need to do these things. I need to modify my life. I need to accept that. And it's been something I've tried to fight as much as I could until it was just so much easier just to give myself some grace.
Yeah.
It's really what
Absolutely.
it is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's really what it is. So I do have a psychiatrist. I go to talk therapy, but those are like things that I needed one on one so that I could like refill my cup back up
Right.
in order to be able to speak to people about MS, because it was like I feel like I'm like flat on the ground. How am I going to help anybody? Look at me.
Right.
I just got ran over. Everybody, I have nothing left. I have nothing left. I've given it all. I have nothing left. I don't have anything. I
Yep.
just felt like I didn't have anything positive. I just sounded so negative, and I don't want to go around doing that. But
Right.
I needed time to myself to be able to work that out, like mentally.
Oh yeah.
And I have adult children that don't live even in my state. So I am supported by my friend group. And I have like a handful of family, but like my mom lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
My father's passed. I don't have like I don't have family that comes to take care of me.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's my friends, and that's just how it is at this point. But my friends always tell me, like, I'm going to complain about something, they're like, I'm old too, then my back hurts too, your back hurts, my back hurts too, don't
Well,
feel bad, we're getting old. And I'm like, okay, so
so-
a lot of it you can like get over yourself, you know what I mean? You're like,
okay.
okay, everything doesn't, but I like to blame MS for everything, because it's might as well. You might as well. I'd like to blame MS for MS is the reason. I don't know what it is, but blame it on the MS. But other than that, you just really have to keep your mind, and you have to keep your mind in the game. It's just this is all we have, is once we lose hope. And I just
We always
you
have.
just can't you
We
can't
all.
lose hope.
We always have that community though, like where we met on TikTok,
Yeah,
you got people that are doing amazing things with their MS, and we sit there and we cheer them on. And
yeah,
we got people that come in that are just like they're having a bad day, and they're just not doing well, and we pick them up,
yeah,
and we pick each other up.
yeah,
It's like we're on a big team.
yeah,
I mean, you reference
yeah.
the athlete,
Not
it's like we're all on the same team. It doesn't matter where you're from. You could be from the UK, you could be from the USA, you can be from Canada. It doesn't matter. We're all on the same team. We pick each other up.
Absolutely. And that is what I've gotten. I've only been on TikTok since last summer, and this is a completely new experience for me.
Yeah.
And again, that's how I met you. And I had only been on chat groups like through Facebook that were pertaining to my particular drug, right?
Hmm.
And those are the only things that I would be online talking about, other than when I was running groups here. Like I have people's phone numbers. I would meet people in person, and then, I know them like face to face, versus like it being a social media type of connection, right?
Hmm.
But like I said, for instance, I was telling you, my best friend, that's been my best friend. I went through Lemtrada with her. I've never met her to this day face to face, but she's my best friend. She's my soul sister from another mister. She lives in Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone through everything in life together. In fact, she just had a breakup this morning and sent me the pictures of, we had a whole girl conversation, Pearl is this morning. I'm her go-to person. She's my go-to person. In the middle of the night, I can call her at 4. She'll answer. She can call me anytime around the clock. This is
Isn't that
each
awesome?
other's person.
Isn't that awesome
Yeah.
to have that, that
Yeah.
maybe just a handful, one person like that. I know I recorded with a guy, Ray, out in Pennsylvania, and he's got a friend of his that he calls him every day, texts him or calls
Oh
him
yeah.
just to check on him. And that is so important for
Oh yeah.
our mental health. And, I know
Oh yeah.
there's some people that we are kind of friends with together on TikTok. I know we get into Eric's lives down in Texas a lot, and we have a lot of conversations with him. I love that guy. I recorded with him and his wife.
Oh,
Um,
oh, I love him too. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
it's
Eric.
just,
He's just so fun to talk to.
yeah, and you got people, and you look where Eric's at. Eric is, he's lost his mobility. He's pretty much in a wheelchair or in a bed all day long, and he struggles to
Yeah.
talk. And just to see where he came, he never quits. He just keeps on fighting the fight. And to see how clear his voice is now as where it was a year ago. I talk about that a lot in the episode that we recorded together. It's just that you
Mm.
you you meet these people all over the place, and you just get this bond with them, and it's a friendship. It really is a friendship.
It absolutely is, and it's like just a commonality that we can understand because like you go through this life and there's always like this "you don't look sick" thing,
Right?
and I'm sorry that I don't know what your picture of being sick is, but I am the face of disability. No matter what, no matter
Right?
however you want to paint it, you might want to. I mean, I don't know if you have this. I'm supposed to be this decrepit person that's like, you
Right?
know, thrown on the ground or something. I don't know, but that's why I chose to create this group that I used to run my group as the MS survivor
Hmm.
because I had a conversation with my doctor one time and asked him, hey doc, cancer survivors they have to have they have to be cancer free for 5 years before they're considered a survivor. Like at what point doesn't a person with my disease become a survivor? And he said, every day you wake up. And I was like, what? Yeah, every day you wake up. What? Honey, I'm a survivor right now. I woke up today. Okay, so thank you. It was like, oh, okay, so I ran with that for a long time. I used that as my group name, but now I'm doing the unmuted because there's nothing silent about this disease at all.
Yeah.
And the body that I'm living in now, I mean, you talk to people that have it 0 to 5 years and they're really struggling. Like, I don't know if it's coming on more intensely for people or if it's because it's scarier. It's a different dynamic because it's it's hitting people harder for some reason. Maybe it's just that now we're able to see on social media and we
I
can
think
see this
I
happening,
I
right?
think I think that has a lot to do with it, Sunshine. I think there's a couple of things. From talking to people that are just newly diagnosed, it doesn't seem like there's been any improvement from 1997 when I got diagnosed into addressing the mental health part of it. I mean,
Right.
I've heard very few people that have been diagnosed within the last 5 to 10 years that have told me that mental health was recommended or was a part of the initial diagnosis. It wasn't
Yeah.
until years later. It's 28 years for me. And, mental health wasn't really addressed in 1997, and it's still not. And I think that's sad. I think that's a break in the system. They haven't fixed it, and it needs fixed. And hopefully we get there some. There's some people that I have talked to that said, yeah, my neurologist did recommend me seeing mental health, but it is not that common. And I think that's just wrong. I think it's wrong.
It and absolutely. And it'll just be like a passing kind of a comment like that. Get mental health. And you're like, okay, so what is that? How do I do that?
Right.
How? Where do I go? Do I need, and then you're like, I didn't even know there was a difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist.
Right.
I mean, and there's no one to navigate you through that. And like, even for instance, I've never seen a nutritionist ever And I have my very first nutritionist appointment coming up next month. After 31 years, now they're going to finally give me nutritionist counseling. But I was a vegan for years. Obviously, I've been keeping myself alive this long, but I would like to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to know. I want to go to every class, any class you have, any person, any specialist you have. I want it.
Right.
And how is that not like presented up front? And that is, again, it goes back to the neurologist where I just really want to be in a room of neurologists and tell them to just do better.
Yeah. I agree,
Just do
Sunshine.
better.
Yeah, I
Just
totally
do
agree.
better.
Totally agree. Hey, Sunshine, I can sit here
Yeah.
and talk to you all night. I mean, we would have
Yeah.
50 plus years of talking to each other with MS if we, I know we can tell a story, and I would have you on again, in the future if you wanted to come back on. But I want to ask you if there's anything that well, first of all, let me ask you if anybody wants to connect with you on TikTok or any of your social media, what is your screen name? And I'll put that in the episode description. And then I just want you to let anybody know that, if you're getting diagnosed with this disease and, you're scared or whatever, what would your advice be to them just to, know that the sun is going to come up tomorrow? There's going to be a new day and you're going to be okay.
Okay. So the advice that I would have for you is statistically, today is a different day than it was when I was first diagnosed. This is 2026. There are a lot of medications on the market.
Hmm.
And right now, statistically, the odds are in your favor. And out of people that are newly diagnosed, you have up to an 85% chance of your disease not progressing. That's not anything I made up. You can go to the ACTRIMS website. It's a lot of heavy reading, but it's in there.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
there's a chance for you.
I totally agree with you, Sunshine. I think that you got to make a commitment early in your diagnosis. Do your homework and find a DMT if that's the route you're going to go, and you got to figure it out. Because you got a lot of life left to live with your wherever you're at in your diagnosis. You could be in your 20s, 30s, 40s. It's not the end, and you got to figure it out and attack it and go all out with it. Can you give your screen name over on TikTok out a shout out, and then I'll put it in the description. And I want to thank you again, Sunshine, for
Mm,
joining me today.
Of course, and thank you for having me. So I am MS Unmuted, MSUMUTED.official. Did I spell that right? I think I did.
Okay.
MS Unmuted official. And then if you want to find me on Facebook, my real name is Sunshine Vegas Lions, and you can find me. You can see my whole life, and this is really the walk that I've been walking for a long time. And yeah,
I love it.
just don't lose yourself. Just
Love
don't
it.
lose yourself.
I love it,
Let
Sunshine.
MS have you.
Nope,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. Keep on fighting the fight. I will put all of Sunshine's social media information in the podcast description if you want to join, follow her and connect with her. And thank you so much, Sunshine, for joining me. I'm going to get going. If you want to follow me on TikTok, you can find me MS Michigan Man 64. You can find me on Instagram, MS Michigan Man 64, and I'm on Facebook, Brian Wallace out of Brunswick, Ohio. Share it out. Hit the subscribe button. We want to be understood. The best way to be understood is to listen to us talk. Till the next episode, it's the MS Michigan Man 64. I am out.